It's going to be why I actually hate being a mechanic. Give you a bit of my background for people that I guess don't know me very well. I started out as a valet when I was 18, got out of like a retail job, and I did really good money. There was a big hotel here in town, not a hotel, like a resort and spa that opened up, and it was brand new. And we made great money. I mean, I was a shy 18-year-old kid, hated talking to people, but I learned. I had a bunch of older, more experienced valets that taught me how to be a successful valet. I guess it sounds stupid, but talking to people, like learning how to talk to people, approach them, figure out what they want, and how to do that quickly, and then get them in the hotel, and then go park their car, because the more cars you parked, the more volume you had, the more chances you had money. And back in the day when the hotel first opened up, people just threw us tip money like crazy, man. I was making like I don't know, like $30-$40 an hour as an 18-year-old. I mean, it was great money, blew it all, bought cars, whatever. Going on, I was about, I think, just turned 21, so like 3 years later. And I was actually able to land a winter gig, because in the winter, of course, the resorts slow down. So I said, I've been doing this for a few years. I got some money in the bank account. I want to find a winter job, something that makes me some money, because I went from making like $30 an hour to literally 10, and it was awful. You're like, okay, I'm trying to make some money. I got a truck to pay, because I just bought like a newer truck. I bought like a King Ranch lifted truck, and I was like, I got to pay for this truck. I got to pay for my insurance. I'm still going out drinking, so I need to make money. I actually got a mechanic's job at a local power sports place. And I don't want to give names to people, because while I'm not here bad-mouthing any businesses, because I enjoyed all the time I spent everywhere I worked at, but I also had some sour times, so I really don't want to say any names. But I worked at a power sport here in town, and I was there for a year. I got hired on as a mechanic to work on motorcycles. And then I was like, yeah, I can do jet skis and I can do boats, but they're not really my thing. So I did motorcycles, and then we started doing ATVs and UTVs, because I became like the carburetor guy, because I knew a lot about carburetors at the time, because I have all dirt bikes, and the other mechanics hated carburetors. So I came as an entry-level mechanic. I was making like, at the valet service, I made supervisor, so I was making $11 an hour at supervisor, so he agreed to pay me $11 an hour, which apparently I was one of the most highly paid guys in the back that wasn't a mechanic. So I got hired as a mechanic, and then they lost a porter, and then we lost a PDI guy. So then my job became mainly being a porter, because I did the extra work, because I was an entry-level mechanic. And yeah, so I did porter, and then I did some mechanic work, because I got paid hourly. And then when we lost a PDI guy, I also started doing PDI. So I did porter and PDI, and then not side mechanic work, but I did the shop's mechanic side work, like just the little things, oil changes, and it's almost like being a lube tech. Started doing bigger work, started doing like bigger carburetor, like, Honda 600cc sport bikes with carburetors. I started doing, 4 carb sinks with the carb cleaning, putting them back together. Started doing like SV650s that guys were stunning out, and I was doing work on that. And then anybody that came in with a modified bike, I wasn't afraid to work on them, so I got those bikes. Just odds and ends and little things, like we sold Victories, and then anyone that bought a Victory and wanted a stage 1 or 2 or 3 kit put on it, I did those. But as I learned a few months in that all my mechanic hours, because you get paid flag, the shop gave my mechanic hours away to other mechanics. Like if a mechanic got stuck on a job or had an engine rebuild on like on a Goldwing, they'd only paid like 4 hours for that engine rebuild. Well, not only did he have to bring the Goldwing in, pull the engine, then rebuild the engine, then put it back in, and then test drive it, break it, and do all that kind of stuff, which took him like 10 or 12 hours. He only got paid for 4. So number one thing I hate about being a mechanic is flag hours, especially at a dealership. When you do warranty work, it's awful. Just a terrible experience, and you just hate it. So they took since I was an hourly employee, they took my flag hours and just gave them to the mechanics to kind of fluff their flag hours to make the mechanics happy, which worked out great. until I was ready to make more money because I was doing a lot more mechanic work. I was working 60 hours a week because power sports and dealerships are awful and they want you to work 6 days a week, 10 or 12 hour days. And then since I was the service porter, again, I got hired as a mechanic and I was a service porter, they had me doing like, oh, hey, can you run to Corpus? And it's like 5 in the afternoon. We're about to close at 8. Hey, can you run to Corpus? So go get a truck at 5 o'clock. Go get a trailer. Go get whatever stupid motorcycle or ATV or whatever was going to Corpus loaded up. So this takes an hour because I have to get paperwork, find the unit, go grab the unit, make sure it's washed and clean. If it's not washed and clean, I got to wash and clean it, then put it on the trailer, then strap it down, all that. So 6 o'clock, I get the paperwork, go to Corpus. It's a 3.5 hour drive, and you're not allowed to speed because you're in the company vehicle on company insurance, doing all that company stuff. So 3.5 hours to Corpus. It's now 8:30. Drop the unit off at a dealership, which is also closed at 8. So someone's staying 30 minutes late for you to give it to them, or you meet up a customer, whatever, verify their identity, give them the vehicle. Now it's 3.5 hours for me to come back. It's now 11:30, 12, midnight. Drop the unit off, put it in the yard. So I have a key to the yard, turn the alarm system off, put it in the yard, come back out, grab my truck from the yard because I'm not leaving in the parking lot. Pull it out, close the gate, reset the alarm, lock everything up, leave, come back to work the next day at 7 in the morning. Turn and burn. Hated it. So I did a lot of that. So I was working at minimum 60 hours a week, $13 an hour. Still good money. And this was, it's like 2013 or something like that. So good money. Not complaining about that. Made great money at the dealership. But when I was like, hey, I've done 60 hours a week and I'm pulling like 40 plus hours as a mechanic. So if I was like, hey, I want, $15 an hour, because I'm also doing your porter work and your PDI guy. I'm doing the work of 3 people in the shop. And I literally am doing 3 because I'm flagging 40 hours of mechanic work. That's pretty good for mechanic. 40 hours a week, fantastic. 40 hours a week, at $18 or $20 an hour. What's the math on that? You're making double. So if you do 40 hours times 2, that's $800 a week at $20 an hour minus your taxes. So fantastic. $800 a week is just a mechanic. On top of he needs to pay me, and then so we came to an agreement that he would pay me $15 an hour, or I'd keep my $13 an hour, but when I was being a mechanic, I'd make $17. So the computer was tracking how many hours I worked as a mechanic. So what we do is we hit punch clock for mechanic time. I would do my mechanic work. So at the end of the week, I'd have 60 hours at the shop or more, whatever it is. I have 60 hours. And then I'd flag 40 hours of mechanic work. But it didn't actually take me 40 hours. Say it took me 20. So they'd take my 60, they'd minus the 20 hours I did as a mechanic. So it's 40 hours at $13 an hour. And then I'd make 40 hours at 17 for my mechanic work. Does that kind of make sense? You make 60 overall, but they take the 20 hours that I actually worked on something and minus it from my overall time. So I get paid the flag hours now. Then my boss was looking at my paycheck and he was like, holy crap, you're making $1,500 to $2,000 a week. Or he's like, I can't pay you that. That's too much money. You don't work that hard. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? I'm doing the work of 3 people over here. Not only am I flagging as much hours as the other mechanics, I'm also doing porter and PDI. So he throws a big fuss about it, and I don't get paid. All in all, they give me my 60 hours with my overtime. I'm still making $1,200 a week, still making good money. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'll do that for a few more months, and I just get tired of it. I'm just done. I'm like, I could be making $2,000 a week, not $1,200. So I think I went in. It's we start on Tuesday, so it's Tuesday to Saturday because you have Sunday, Monday off. So I go in on a Tuesday, and I was contemplating quitting for 6 weeks. I was just tired of it. I was just I'm getting taken advantage of. All the other mechanics are making money on me when I could be making so much more, and I'm not getting any benefits of it. I'm getting nothing for it. I guess I'm getting the experience because I'm, going on 22 now with a year's of mechanic work under my belt at a dealership, at a big power sports, motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, boats, jet skis, all that kind of stuff, or skis or whatever the fuck it's called. So I was like, all right, cool. So I go to the boss, I was like, This is like when the Honda ATVs just came out, and I like just finished putting on the doors, like the full kits on it and everything, and I got one all decked out for a customer, and I had like 3 small jobs in my mechanic bin, and I just pulled them out, put them in the head tech's box so he could redistribute them. So I cleaned out my box, or I cleaned out my mechanic box, then not my mechanic box, cleaned out my mechanic hours, like what they slotted for me. Put them in the head tech box and told him like, hey, you need to redistribute these if I don't take them back. So we kind of like put them in a way that I could take them back. But he's like, what's going on? I was like, you'll find out soon. And then I grabbed the little forklift, and this little forklift everybody in the dealership hated. And it was the one I liked because it was real small and little. And I did all the maintenance on it too. Like, everyone neglected it, and the boss wouldn't get the maintenance guy to come in. So like, while I was talking to the maintenance guy one time, he told me what to do. So like, fix the tie rods and tighten this up, tighten that up. Did like a service on it and stuff, oil change and change the filter because it was disgusting. And I did all that work by myself. And again, I'm not a forklift tech, but a mechanic's a mechanic. I mean, whatever. It's all basic stuff. So I grabbed that forklift. I put it up against my toolbox, lifted my toolbox off the ground, and then locked my toolbox, pulled the keys out of the forklift. And that told everybody in the back, they're like, oh, holy crap, are you quitting? I'm like, yeah, my truck's backed up against the dock, tailgate's down, box is here and ready to go. I'm actually going to go talk to the boss right now and make him talk to me. They're like, what the fuck? Because they all knew I was tired of not getting money. Like, the guys in the back, the porters and the PDIs, well, not the porter, I was the only porter, but the PDI guys knew what I wanted because I wasn't making any money, and because I just wasn't getting my flag hours. So I was like, I want my flag hours. So, walked into the boss's office at like 12 o'clock. I walked up to the time clock, punched out for the time clock, and then walked into the service manager's desk and went, hey, I'm tired of this. Like, you and I need to have a sit down about my paycheck. He's like, oh, give me 5 minutes. I was like, oh, cool, sit here. He walks out into there, starts talking to a few people, comes back. He's like, all right, what do you want? And I was just like, hey, man, like, you're not paying me. We agreed at one point that I was like, I keep my 13 an hour, but then you give me a 17 flag. I was like, I need my flag hour. And if you're not willing to do that because you said I make too much, just give me $15 an hour. Like, 15 hours flat, $2 an hour extra, and I'll be happy. Because that gives me a decent pay. It gives me a really nice paycheck. He's like, oh, I can't pay you that because you'll start making more than the PDI manager. And I was like, well, I mean, that doesn't matter to me. I was like, you're telling me I'm not worth $15 an hour? He's like, I can't afford to pay it. I was like, if I quit right now, what are you going to do? And he's like, honestly, I don't know. You'll do a lot to make, like, if you quit, that'll kill me. I was like, I know it will, because you have 0 porters, a PDI manager and a PDI guy that's worthless. So you essentially have just one PDI manager, and you lose a mechanic on top of it. You lose 40 hours of extra flag work that I do. He's like, well, the mechanic work's not too bad, but he's like, but you as a porter and a PDI, it's like, kills me. I'm like, all right, well, for you to bring in 2 porters just to pick up the slack alone of what I do for the porter work, the cleaning and doing all the bikes and doing all that other stuff, you'll have to buy 2, like, you have to get 2 guys, right? Like, we can both agree on things. Yeah, I'm like, that's at least $8 an hour. That's $16 an hour you got to pay for 2 guys to come in here and do just my porter work. And you need 2 porters. And you need 2 PDIs. Like, realistically, you need 1 PDI guy. So you're going to pay another guy $10 an hour just to be a PDI. And eventually going to hire another mechanic at like $15 or $20 an hour. What do you mean you can't afford to pay me $15? I'm already getting 13. What's $2 more an hour? He's like, I can't afford it. And I know now, so I've been in management now. So what I realized was I was really getting taken advantage of because I left that same day. He's like, well, when are you going to quit? I was like, right now. I've already clocked out at noon. You know, it's 12:08 since we had this conversation. He's like, you're kidding me. And I'm like, no, I'm being dead serious. Like, forklift is out there. My toolbox is loaded on the forklift. My truck is ready to go. I'm done. Pay me my flag hours or give me more money. Like, give me $15 an hour. If you don't, I'm leaving and you need to hire 2 porters. And that's $16 an hour. So I don't know where you telling me you can't afford me. And then he goes, oh, I can't do it, man. I was like, okay, man, I'll just leave. You have a good day. And he's like, wait, what? And I walked out the office. Jumped on the forklift, loaded my toolbox, strapped it down, put the forklift back inside, closed all the doors, and left. Like, left at 12:30. When I was leaving too, the HR girl got a hold of me and was like, hey, can you come and talk to me 2 weeks later? I was like, we'll just do it now. She said, no. So came in 2 weeks later, had a conversation with her, and when she found out all of this information, everybody in the back got like a pay grade. Everyone with the mechanics, but the porters that they just hired for $8 an hour went up to 10. The PDI manager got like a big raise, and yeah, So now they're all happy, which is great, fantastic. I'm glad they got that. Then I went to a European auto shop down the street from them and started working as a mechanic again, making like, again, $13 an hour, flag. And I was making like, I don't know, 30 hours a week. It was okay. It was good work. And that was a good time. The manager was Polish, and he was very blunt, and he'd always yell at you. And I blew up at him one day, just got tired of him like disrespecting us. So I literally cursed, yelled, and screamed at him, went on lunch, and was like, I'm going to come back from lunch. They're going to tell me I'm fired, but whatever. Like, I'd been working there for a year and a half, and I was like, whatever, I don't care. I don't need this job. I'll go back to being a valet full time, you know? Again, this was just like a job to get me through the winter, and then I just kind of like did it in the summer as well. So I just did valet at night just to make extra money and just to maintain my valet job. And I came back from lunch and just went back to work. Like, I thought I was going to get fired, but the boss didn't say anything to me. The head mechanic didn't say anything to me. In fact, me and the head mechanic laughed about it. And then we learned we could like yell and scream at our boss. So that was fantastic. It was a year working in a mechanic shop where you could literally disrespect the boss because he was talking shit to you, or just because you didn't like him that day or you were having a bad day. You could literally yell, curse, and scream at him, and he would just walk away. I left that shop, went back to being a valet full time. I made okay money. It was okay. Well, fast forward now. I worked at a 4x4 shop for like a year. It was okay. I made like $15 an hour. I don't got much to say about that. You know, cars came like brand new Jeeps and Tacomas came in, pull a bumper off, put a replacement bumper on, throw on a winch, do some electrical work. Easy stuff. The 4x4 shop. If you guys look to be a mechanic, 4x4 shop, like for sure. All you do is install lift kits, wheels and tires. Easy. I think that's all my big shops. Yeah, I think that's that. And then after that, so COVID happened. I worked all the way up to management, and I ran my own facilities. I got an assistant manager at the major Marriotts downtown here in San Antonio. Did that for about a year and a half as management. Learned a lot. Did payroll, scheduling, all that kind of crap. Made pretty good money. Like really, really good money. And I didn't work crazy hours, so it wasn't bad. Although I was working nights, so I came when I work at like 3, left at like midnight at the latest. Usually try to get out like Monday, Tuesdays. Maybe a Wednesday, got out by like 8 or 9, so it wasn't too bad. Maybe 7. Or if like I got off at like 6:30, I'd go to the gym because my gym was a mile from downtown. I'd work out, and my guys all have my number, so if they needed me, I could like pop back real quick. It was like 15 minutes. I could stop working out, get a quick shower, put my suit back on, and go back to work with like in 15 minutes. So it was great. I would do that until about 9 when the gym closed, and then call my guys, see if they need me. If they didn't need me, I'd bounce. 3 days a week I would do that. It was great. But again, I got disrespected by my higher managers, and I was hating it because they were like, you need to change this, you need to change that. So I built like a 2-week program. Like I spent 2 weeks developing a program for them to fix all the problems they wanted me to fix.